Maybe finally we're going to have a championship series. Other team win a game, both series 2-0 in the ALCS and NLCS. You're not here to hear about that. You already know that. You want to know how the hell am I betting on the Houston and Texas Rangers game tonight? You're in the right place. I'm your host, Dan Alexander, and joining me, I got Bryan Power and Tokyo Brandon. And both of these guys got some player props for you. So we will talk about some overviews of the games as well, but we got some best bets coming your way for the guys who are on the mound here tonight. Let's start by talking about this Houston and Texas Rangers game. Looks like the Rangers are about minus 130. Totals ticked up. Runs expected tonight. Looking like some 9.5s out there on the WagerTalk live odds screen. But BP, I'm going to start with you. The Rangers tonight, they I guess did some voodoo and brought Max Scherzer back from the dead. Zombie rising. He's back on the mound here tonight. But it's an interesting choice, I will say, bringing Scherzer back. But with their arms and how they've just been rolling, I guess they didn't really have much of a choice. He'll be faced in Javier. How are you going to be betting this one? Because I know you're kind of ISO'd in on Scherzer, who might have a short hook on him.
Yeah, so I mean, let's be honest. Things could not have gone better for Texas to open this series. They take the
Yeah.
first two games in Houston. They're now 7-0 in the postseason against the three teams that had the best records in the American League. They're outscoring them by like 3 runs a game. So it has been an incredible start to the postseason, for a team that a lot of people thought, might be a little down on itself because they blew the division the final weekend of the regular season, but that's not been the case. All credit in the world to Texas. And now, as you pointed out, they're bringing Max Scherzer back, so it's getting even better. Reports are, though, that he's going to be on a pitch count about 65 to 70 here. Do the math.
Mhm.
With him averaging about 16 pitches per inning in the regular season, that works out to 4 1/3 innings, which would be 13 outs. Now, I like under 12 and a half, so we've got to get, we can't have him come out for the fifth. So let's look at the possible scenarios here for Mr. Scherzer. You have to consider how we fared the last time against Houston. September 6th gives up 7 runs in 3 innings, including 3 homers. Current Astros hitters own an 830 OPS against Scherzer across 168 plate appearances. With a 2-0 series lead, I just don't think there's any reason to push Scherzer here. At the first sign of trouble, I think he gets pulled. For what it's worth, he had 5 regular season starts where he failed to complete 4 innings. I think the Rangers are just hoping to get an early lead, get 4 innings out of Scherzer, and then turn this over to the bullpen, which has been pretty much the script across this entire MLB postseason, right? You get an early lead through the home run ball, then you turn it over to your bullpen. It's been a drama-free postseason, basically. Once you get the lead, you know, yeah, you'll have to get out of some jams, but teams are not blowing early leads at all. I just don't think Texas wants to put Scherzer in a position, guys, where he would get an early lead and blow it. They want to think big picture, his confidence. There is a chance he could just get rocked and then he's out of there in a hurry. But regardless if that's the scenario or it's just, him getting the early lead and having an early hook, I don't think we see more than 4 innings from Scherzer tonight. Under
Yep.
12 and a half outs is the best bet for the show today.
Yeah, I mean, the manager of the Rangers, he was even like, I'm pretty confident he could throw 70. It didn't sound like a ringing endorsement for Scherzer there, and it's a guy who's going to be on the mound on the road, and he's getting his first start since about mid-September. So, yeah, looking towards the under on the total outs. What do you think, folks? Agree or disagree? Hop in the comments below if you're going to be betting on that one, or you have another way to maybe attack this game, we want to hear. And while you're down there, make sure you hit that like button and hit subscribe. It's a great way to help us grow here at WagerTalk TV. All right, Brando, for you, I know you want to talk about the guy on the other mound. You should have included a trigger warning because I'm sure, as you know, he's the guy who threw the no-no against the Phillies last year. So this is a guy who I don't like seeing there on the mound. You think he too may be looking at a bit of a short hook here today. How are you looking to bet this one?
I do. Christian Javier is going against the Rangers. And speaking of the Rangers and how they use their pitchers, you notice in these playoffs, the smart managers are still in the playoffs, and the not smart, to use a euphemism, the not so smart managers are gone. Probably one of the worst managers in MLB history, Roberts, and the Dodgers are out. It's because of the poor use of their pitchers, especially the Blue Jays. You know, when Barrios had that perfect game going and they pulled him. I think he had one hit given up and they pulled him. I mean, just managers making stupid decisions. But you'll notice the teams that are left, like the Rangers, have been using their pitchers very wisely. If you look how they're using their pitchers, the Phillies are also using their pitchers really wisely. And those are two teams that don't really have great bullpens. But the managers are wisely using their arms and managing those teams, and that's why they're still there. Even the Diamondbacks are, in my opinion, managing their pitchers really well, which is what got them here. Even in the first two games they lost, I like what they did, how they managed their pitching staff. So let's get on to Christian Javier today. Have you ever noticed people from the East Coast say Houston instead of Houston? Anyways, so Christian Javier is going today, and if you look at what he did against the Rangers earlier this season, he absolutely got imploded, exploded, shall we say? He imploded himself and got exploded. He got cracked for 8 runs against the Rangers earlier this season. I think he went 4.1 innings, and I think he had 4 strikeouts in that. I'm going to go with the strikeouts prop with Christian Javier here. I think the Rangers will get to him early. I do think he'll have a short hook, and his strikeout prop was 4.5, and I don't see him getting 5 strikeouts here. Granted, he is a good strikeout thrower, and he did get 9 against the Dodgers in his last start, but yeah, he's averaging 11 strikeouts per 9. But the Rangers are extremely disciplined at the plate. How disciplined? They're only averaging 7.6 strikeouts per 9 innings. So if you do the math, Christian Javier generally goes 5.2 innings in his starts. Even if he gets through 6 innings, I only project him having 5.5 strikeouts here. I don't think he's going to go that deep. The Rangers are just on a tear. I was talking to Brian before the show. The Phillies and the Rangers to me seem like teams of destiny. They're just gripping and ripping right now. I think the Rangers out homered who they played in the last series like 11-3. I mean, they're just gripping and ripping. And when you get teams who just don't care and are gripping and ripping, those teams are the most dangerous. So I think Javier gets an early hook. I don't think he gets 5 strikeouts. So my best bet for this is Christian Javier under 4.5 strikeouts.
Man, and as I'm hearing you guys break it down, I know some of our viewers who are in Vegas, they can't really get at these player props as readily available as some of the folks who have these nationally regulated books. But as I'm hearing you talking about both pitchers potentially be getting tagged a little bit early, I would like it a lot more if we had 4.5. But either of you, any thoughts on the first 5 total? Because if you're talking about pitchers who might get pieced up early in the game, it figures that you could see around 5 runs through the first 5, or you think that number is just a tick high on that one? What do you think, Bry?
Yeah, it's kind of correlated, right? Because what have we seen again throughout the postseason? The runs come early, and then the bullpens just shut the game down. There's been very few exceptions where teams, I mean, I know the Phillies last night poured it on
Yeah.
in the late innings, but yeah, I mean, I do think it's correlated. With Scherzer, you're betting into uncertainty again. There is always the chance
Mhm.
he's going to get rocked. I agree with what Brandon said about Javier. It's such a big difference going from facing Minnesota to facing Texas because of the plate discipline. No team strikes out more than Minnesota. Texas, it just is at the other end of the spectrum. So yeah, I think if you like the over, if you expect runs, it going first 5 over is smart because if these teams aren't scoring early, then this game isn't going over. So yeah, I
Mhm.
actually would prefer from a totals perspective, I would prefer the first 5 over to the full game over. I'll say that.
What about you, Brandon? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, you know, as cappers, our job is to predict the future, and predicting the future, what you like to have is something reliable, and Max Scherzer is just the opposite of anything
Mm,
reliable. I have no
yeah.
idea what we're going to see from him. He could come out and pitch 4 shutout innings. I agree with Brian. I doubt he's going to pitch past 4 innings, but he could he could pitch 4 shutout innings. And that Texas bullpen, although I have them ranked somewhere around 8 or 9 in MLB. Not cream of the crop, but they've been playing really well, and I think it's mostly because of great managing, a great managerial job there. Um, I I hate to say it, but I don't know. If I was going to bet something besides a prop in this game, I would take Texas on the money line. But that's not a
Mm.
client play. Uh, I'm going to shy away from totals because I just don't know what to expect from Scherzer.
That's Tokyo Brandon. The man is on a 4-1 Major League Baseball run, currently number one in MLB profit over the last 3 days. So running hot to start the week is our man Tokyo Brandon. Guys, let's just do a little chat here since we got through that game pretty quickly. As far as the Phillies and the Arizona Diamondbacks go, this game obviously going on Thursday, and it's looking like consensus odds on the WagerTalk live odds screen, seeing the Phils a minus 135 favorite, plus 115 on the comeback for the D-backs. Total pretty much painted 9. There are some 9.5s out there, but it looks like only one at a Vegas sports book. I know the WagerTalk odds screen reads currently undecided for the Phillies pitcher, but everything that I'm seeing looks like it's going to be Ranger Suarez. So I think
Yep.
you can lock that one in. Bri, I'll start with you. I don't need any bet out of you, but 2-0 series, both of these. Are they created the same? How do you see this game flowing out? And do you think the D-backs are going to finally be able to steal one once they get home here?
I think the D-backs are in a lot of trouble, Dan. You should probably be
Mm.
feeling pretty good about yourself right now and your chances. Before this series started, I said it Monday on the Hustle Short with Mark Zinno that Phillies to win this series in 6 games or less was the play. That was plus money at the
Mm.
time. That's now looking pretty sharp. You talk about managing things. I know that, sort of like throwing in the towel on a game, especially in the postseason, is not something anyone wants to hear. But I wonder if Arizona should have saved either Kelly or Gallen to pitch at home because both guys' home road splits are so dramatic. And I think just putting both those guys out there opposite Wheeler and Nola in Philly, it just decreased your percentage of winning the series for Arizona. I just didn't think that there was a good chance Arizona was going to steal either game in Philly. Now they're coming back with Fott for game 3. Yes, they've won the last 3 times he started, but his numbers aren't that great. Suarez, while he's a drop off from the top 2 in the Phillies rotation, the Phillies have won 5 in a row with him on the mound. When
Mhm.
Arizona's dropping pop flies like they were at the end of last night's game, it's not a good sign. I think the D-backs are a very average baseball team that got a lucky draw with Milwaukee in the wild card series, and they got a division rival in the LDS. I don't want to say game 3 is the bottom of the market on the D-backs because they were such big underdogs in the last round, but it's hard for me to see the D-backs coming back in this series. I don't see them winning probably more than a game at this point. Philly, you talk about the numbers. Their slugging differential in the playoffs is historic. I think I read last night there's only been one team in baseball history, they've been playing the sport since the 1800s, Dan, that has had the same slugging differential or better regular season or postseason. It was like one of the 1930s Yankees teams over an 8-game span. So they're killing it. They have more home runs than runs allowed. Yeah, that series is kind of over, I think, to be honest with you. It's very hard for me to see Arizona getting back in this one, an average team against a team that is so hot in the Phillies.
Yeah, what do you guys think? Hop below in the comments and let us know. We would love to hear from you down there. We love chopping it up. That's Bryan Power, 2-0 to start the championship series across both leagues. Check him out over at wagertalk.com. Brandon, we were talking before the show, and you said you grew up as a Phillies fan, and obviously you being from Arizona, around that area when you moved out there. You switched on over to the D-backs. So this is a conflicting series for you. But as a capper, you're not fans of anyone. You're fans of who's putting money in your
That's right.
pocket. Man,
That's right.
it seems like it's too obvious to continue to back the Phillies. But last night, we even had someone in the comments. They were like, "Hey, all the cappers are all over the Phillies. All the public is all over the Phillies. I'm staying away, or I'm looking the other way." Sometimes if it walks like a duck, talks like a duck, it's a duck. And right now, betting on the Phillies is that golden goose or that golden duck. A new saying I just created, Brandon. How are you looking to bet this series moving forward? Do you agree with our man Bry that seems like D-backs are just a little bit overmatched, or do they have a little bit something left in the tank?
Well, first of all, I don't care what other people bet. I don't care what the public bets. I don't care about it. I only care about what my numbers say, and I bet that. And
Mhm.
if you fade the public, you're going to lose long term because, I mean, it's just like betting on a superstition. So I really don't pay attention
Mhm.
to what the public is betting. And I want to do one little rant about playoff baseball. This really annoys me when I'm watching a game on TV and they show the stats of the player for the playoffs only. It's very annoying. I don't care if Jose Altuve is batting 666 in the last 2 days. It means nothing. I have to go to ESPN and look up the stats for all the players because they won't show them on. This is very annoying. Am I the only person that this annoys? Because I really hate that when the playoffs start. All of a sudden, everyone's batting average is 0. It just annoys me. But anyways, thanks for letting me rant. I
The
do have a
safe space.
play in the Diamond. I do have a play in the Diamondbacks Phillies game. It's a pitcher prop, and you can grab that at my page at WagerTalk.com right now. Uh, I agree with Brian that the Diamondbacks probably will pull one game out, and if they are going to pull one game out, this is probably the one. I don't know how he pronounces his name. Brian said Fat. I'm going to call him Fat because it's just a cool name. Um, he's actually a better pitcher than Ranger Suarez. And Ranger Suarez is a bad pitcher. I'm sorry, but he's not a good pitcher. He's a bad pitcher on a good team that gets carried by his lineup. But he's not a good pitcher. And the fat man, he's unproven, and he goes very short. He goes 4 or 5 innings here and there. But he can tie down some good innings, and he's actually got some good stuff if you watch him play. If the Diamondbacks are going to win a game, this is probably it. If they lose this game to Katie bar the door, it's over. But if they're going to win, it's going to be this one. I would take a small flyer on the Diamondbacks in this one, perhaps. Um, Not a lot of money, not a dime, not a quarter, maybe not even a penny regarding that. But yeah, maybe some lunch money on the Diamondbacks here because you're going to get some good plus money. I agree with Brian also. The Diamondbacks don't belong in the playoffs. They got lucky, and they're lucky to be here. There's always a team that overperforms what they actually are worth, and gets far into the playoffs, and then they get crushed. And we're watching the Diamondbacks get crushed. If they do pull one out, it'll be a good feeling back at home with the better starting pitcher. I actually do like the Diamondbacks bullpen a little bit better than the Phillies bullpen, but all of that aside, Phillies are a team of destiny. We're going to see the Phillies and Rangers in the World Series eventually. But I take a little flyer on the Diamondbacks in this.
Tokyo Brandon calling his shot, saying we got our World Series matchup decided. Hop below in the comments and let us know if you agree with that one. And to your point, too, I think in both games we've seen the market move with the Phillies. So, I don't think you have to rush to bet the Diamondbacks. I think that's one that you can place your wager on
Yeah,
Thursday, and you're not
for
going to
sure.
see much difference in what you're getting. It's looking like plus 115 out there. Your best look is plus 120 at a notable offshore if you're looking to back Arizona. But Brian, you have anything to add on that end? Because I don't think the number is going to get much lower for the Diamondbacks.
No, and the one thing to consider with the Phillies, and you would probably know this as well as anyone, Dan. Last year when I was betting the Phillies, I was doing a lot of first 5 bets because I was scared of their bullpen, and which was thought it's better this year. It's been
Hmm.
tremendous in the postseason. I think their bullpen ERA going into yesterday was 1.51. It's even lower now. The strand rate is insane. They're just when runners are on, they're just not scoring. I think the strand rate is
Hmm.
94%. The expected FIP for the bullpen is a lot higher. So they're the one area where I think the Phillies may have some potential for regression is in the back end with the bullpen. Can they
Fair.
continue to pitch that well? The answer is probably no. I don't know if that regression comes necessarily in this series, but I just would like to let everyone know the Phillies bullpen numbers, like I said, you would know better than anybody, are a lot
Yeah.
better than expected this postseason.
Yeah, it does seem like a little bit of an outlier from what we've come to expect from this Phil's team year over year, and really even in this season. So could be something to eye there. That's Bryan Power. Big thanks to him. Big thanks to Tokyo Brandon. Nice overview for you of both series as a whole. We appreciate you tuning in, and make sure you hop below in the comments. Let us know how you're looking to bet these series and games moving forward. We will be back locked and loaded with some actionable info for you tomorrow on that Phils and Diamondbacks game. We'll have some best bets coming your way, and we'll continue previewing this Houston and Texas series as we march towards the World Series. Make sure you're subscribed so you never miss any of our shows here, including Bet On It, which drops a little bit later today. I've been your host, Dan Alexander. Hit that little bell so you get all the info you need to bet all the sports you love. Only a click away right here at WagerTalk TV. Best of luck.